Hi, Facebook friends. Helen Arcantu here, CEO of the YWCA of Northern New Jersey. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am so happy to be with you this afternoon. Depends where you are in New Jersey, if you're having a snow day or a rain day. I'm having a rain day. Danny's having a snow day. But wherever you are, we're glad that you have the time to spend with us, whether you're watching us live or watching this later. This is an important conversation, and I'm so grateful that my guest today, Dr. Danny Papa, could join us so that we could talk. He is an educator who helps build awareness around the realities of human trafficking. For those of you who don't know, human trafficking, also known as modern slavery, these are terms that are used to refer to a crime where traffickers exploit and profit at the expense of adults or children by compelling them to perform labor or engage in commercial sex. When a person is younger than 18 and is used in a commercial sex act, it is a crime regardless whether or not there's any force used, any fraud, any coercion involved. Before we jump into our conversation today, I want to tell you a little bit more about Dr. Papa, who is president of the New Jersey Coalition Against Human Trafficking. He is president of their board of trustees and co-chair of their education committee. He is also the principal of the Arthur Stanlick Elementary School, which is in Jefferson Township Public School District. As a history teacher, he partnered with his students to establish Project Stay Gold. That was a student movement to end human trafficking. And under his leadership, the students launched their Not on Our Turf campaign to raise awareness of human trafficking surrounding the Super Bowl being held in the state at the time, which was in 2014. He is also an adjunct professor at East Stroudsburg University, and he completed his doctorate in historical studies at Drew University. Thank you so much for making the time to join us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
So I know that you have been a tremendous champion for the coalition and for this work. I would love to start with you telling a little bit about how that started for you. And I know that kind of gets us a little into the topic as well, because I always try to remind anybody watching that you have the ability to jump in and make great change no matter where you sit in the world. The inspiration, when it hits you, there's definitely some place, to grab onto and go with it. And I think that's what happened for you. And look where we are all these years later with the impact that you've had. So I'd love for you to share that, hopefully to remind other folks that this is possible for them too.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much. So a friend of mine, when I was in my early 20s, introduced me to the topic of modern day slavery. And when I first learned about it, I could not believe that something as heinous as modern day slavery existed. Right. So I didn't know what to do. I felt very compelled. My heart was really gripped by the reality. And all I started to do was donate to an organization, $25 a month. That was in 2005. And I'm still donating to that organization. I love what they're doing. And they're a trailblazing organization throughout the world in combating human trafficking. So it was an issue that I was very sensitive to and passionate about making a difference in. But little did I know that as a history teacher, that opportunity would come. One October afternoon, I was introducing slavery in the context of the Jamestown colony in North America in 1619, and I made a connection to what modern day slavery looked like in human trafficking. And I spent about 10 minutes on human trafficking. And at the end of the lesson, a student came up to me and said, Mr. Papa, can you give me that website that you just showed us? I'd like to learn more about this issue. That was on a Friday. And that Monday she came back and said, Mr. Papa, I spent the weekend learning about human trafficking. And she looked at me and she said, we have to do something about this. And she felt compelled in the very same way that I did years earlier when I first learned about the issue. So my response was, what would you like to do? And she said, why don't we make our school aware? And that's simply what we did. We made our middle school aware about human trafficking. We did a week awareness. We spent about 4 or 5 months researching the issue and figuring out how we wanted to communicate. The 8th grade students went in, and we had about 30 students who volunteered for our awareness campaign. And they went in and taught 6th, 7th, and 8th grade social studies classes about human trafficking, made connections to history. We put up awareness posters around the school. The students made morning announcements. And as they taught those lessons, they came back and said, Mr. Papa, this is amazing. We have to do more. We have to make students in other schools and other districts aware of this issue as well. So together, we partnered and we started what was called Project Stay Gold. We eventually became a nonprofit organization that used education as a means of awareness. Actually, what we say is that education is a means of prevention when it comes to human trafficking. Educating, really empowering young people to be the voice, to be the agents of change, to be the voice of their generation, to raise awareness about the warning signs and the risk factors. And through that, we were a Morris County-based school. The New Jersey Coalition Against Human Trafficking was forming in 2010 and 2011, and they were meeting in Morris County and at the Attorney General's, I think it was the second maybe it was the first or second Human Trafficking Awareness Day that the Attorney General hosted in Trenton. The students of Project Stay Gold had the opportunity to meet a lot of the founding members of the coalition, and they invited us to their meetings again, which were held in Morris County. So we started attending those meetings and just got involved. It was amazing to find people with just a like mind when it came to this, the passion to make a difference about what we have identified as the world's largest human rights violation on planet Earth. And it's an issue that sadly many people have decided to become ostriches and just put their head in the sand and not see the gravity of this issue and how it is affecting young people and throughout the world globally, how it's affecting men, women, and children on every single continent. And so it was amazing to get involved with the coalition and meet everyone there. And it's just been one of the greatest experiences of my life to partner with the men and women of the New Jersey Coalition Against Human Trafficking and just learn and grow alongside of them.
Well, I thank you so much for taking the time to share that, because I think it so beautifully illustrates the ripple effect, right, of that each of us can have, just by you introducing this as you became aware, your student taking it on, and, the rest is history where it went. And, and for all of those students, that it touched, and, how it probably continues, in for them to also help ripple, from their place in the world.
Absolutely.
So for those of you watching too, I want to make sure that you can note that there's links right here dropped into the chats so that, you can start the ripple effect in your life. Go to the website, learn more. I know that once you start reading, you will get pulled in further. This is that kind of issue. We don't realize how much of this is happening so locally close to home. There sometimes is a misperception that, this is something that happens in another country or in another part of the country, if we are willing to think that it happens here in our country, but it's happening right in your town and right around you as well. And so that's why it is so important for you to learn about the issue and to, think about ways to be able to be part of our prevention efforts. So with that, let's talk more about Project Stay Gold and, how we are using it now to help with risk factors and warning signs. And I know that with the coalition that there's, some new initiatives specifically around education and how to integrate these conversations in a very, very, focused way into our curriculum.
So I guess starting with Project Stay Gold, the lesson that I learned from my students was just to, just continue the work of using education as a means of prevention. And with that said, that has really led us to the project that we've just launched that we're so excited about. So just to give our viewers a little bit of a background. So for the way curriculum is developed within a school district is the state of New Jersey, the Department of Education releases what are called learning standards. Every content area has different standards. They're called the New Jersey Student Learning Standards. So for example, prior to becoming a principal, I was a history supervisor. So my responsibility was every 5 years, a school district has to revise curriculum. When you revise your curriculum documents, you are revising your documents based upon any revisions that have been made to the New Jersey Student Learning Standards. The New Jersey Student Learning Standards are revised and updated every 5 years. So a school district's curriculum cycle is usually in that same timeline as the Department of Education's revisions on their standards. So in 2020, the Department of Education released the revised comprehensive health and physical education standards. And in those standards, there are 7 different standards. And then just also mention, standards are aligned by grade bands, right? So K to 2, 3 to 5, 6 to 8, and then 9 to 12. So in the 6 to 8 and in the 9 to 12 grade bands, there are 7 different standards that are dedicated in the health and PE standards to human trafficking for students to learn about it, learn how to prevent it, and then also learn how to identify risk factors and warning signs. So when we saw that, we were just so pleased to see that the state was beginning to lead the way in using education as a means of prevention within our schools. So then what happens is when the standards are released, a school district will have either a year or 2 to update and revise their curriculum. So by September of 2022, all of the school district's curriculum documents had to be updated with those new standards. So what we saw that there was definitely a opportunity here to support health and physical education teachers when they were teaching the standards that are aligned in their curriculum documents to the New Jersey Student Learning Standards. So the way school districts will teach the standards are through lesson plans. So we designed lesson plans for health and PE teachers to teach the comprehensively the 7 standards. So we created 3 different lesson plans. They're linked right here on the screen. And each lesson plan is aligned to various standards within the New Jersey Student Learning Standards. Our goal was to make lesson plans that are, number one, free, easy to access, and extremely practical for health and PE teachers. So each lesson is designed around pretty much the same type of model. The lesson begins with a video, and the video is an interview. It's a high school student interviewing a content expert. So in our first lesson about recruitment strategies, we have a high school student who's actually interviewing an extremely powerful survivor who's also an educator, Rachel Thomas. And she unpacks for the viewer all of the various different recruitment strategies a predator or trafficker will use when grooming and enticing a young person. The second lesson is a high school student interviewing retired Lieutenant John Pizarro of the state police. He was also the former head of the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. He spent, I believe it was the last 7 years of his career combating online grooming and online enticement and sextortion. And he is the content expert that is interviewed when it comes to online grooming. And then the third lesson, we had high school students interview. I think 2 or 3 of the standards speak to human trafficking legislation. So we interviewed Congressman Chris Smith for the federal perspective of legislation, and we interviewed Assemblywoman Angela McKnight for the state the more local legislation here in the state of New Jersey. So each lesson starts with an interview with a content expert. And then from there, in our lesson plan, we give a number of different guiding or essential questions that the teacher can ask either during the video, pause it and ask the questions, or following up. And then we designed lesson activities. 2 of the lessons have activities that are different scenarios that students can read through in groups. Everything was designed in Google as far as Google Docs goes. So the teacher, most school districts in New Jersey used Google Apps for Education. So the teacher is able to make a copy of those lesson activities, modify it to however they would like, and then disseminate it to their students, whether they could make paper copies or through Google Classroom. And so the lesson activities have a number of different scenarios that students can read through. They can refer back to the video, as well as some of the other lesson resources that we give. And then every lesson ends with certain assessments, some questions, closing questions at the end that the teacher can ask students to really bring that lesson to a closure. So we have 3 different lesson plans on there that we're really excited about, as well as some other additional resources that health and PE teachers can use when they're teaching about human trafficking.
Yeah, and I just really want to lift up again for our viewers to just, if you can see the connection here, having someone like Dr. Papa connected to the coalition really helped create this amazing effort to happen because of the knowledge that he was able to bring to this issue from the work that he does. So it is so very important that we have folks from all different walks of life connecting to these issues and supporting them, because you sometimes don't even realize what what you're connected and what opportunity you have to be able to be a gateway to really make an impact in helping address an issue like this. And I also want to thank, I know we have Natalie McKenzie from The Whole Woman watching, and she's saying thank you so much for always bringing these important issues to the forefront with these conversations. So and I really again want to thank Dr. Papa and all the work of all the amazing volunteers at the coalition are doing. But I have to say, so this is really fascinating. How do school districts get access to this? I mean, obviously it's been put together and in a very thoughtful, creative way so that it really is engaging for students and age appropriate, depending on, who's accessing it, what age we're accessing it for. But how are teachers getting this?
So that's a great question. We've been in frequent communication with the Department of Education. Kate Lee, who's our executive director, and I we had a meeting this morning with a gentleman from the Department of Education. So the Department of Education is going to help us disseminate it. I think most importantly, it's going to really happen through word of mouth. The athletic director in the school district I'm in, he's forwarded me a few different email threads from different athletic directors or phys ed supervisors who are saying, does anyone have any resources on teaching human trafficking? Obviously, this is an issue that many educators are not aware of, and they're not sure how to teach it. And that's where we really felt, we saw an opportunity to support teachers further by creating free, practical lesson plans to help support them in the instruction of this issue. So there's a number of different things that we're doing that we have coming up. We're planning a number of different professional development opportunities. There are pretty much every school district has certain days of the year that are always earmarked as professional development. And a lot of times school districts are saying, what do we do with our health and PE teachers? So we're going to fill in that gap by providing some virtual professional development opportunities. We have a number of different conferences and workshops that we're going to present at, personally, I've just been emailing a number of different educators I know, and we've just received some really great feedback. And I think teachers are seeing that this is a really easy and practical resource here and tool to use when instructing about an issue that there really aren't too many resources on right now. So so I would say there's a number of different avenues, and we're really thrilled with our friendship and partnership with the Department of Education. And first and foremost, we're just thrilled that they're making this issue well known to our public schools. It's been a passion of mine for a long time to really bring this issue into schools. More now, I feel like it's more important now than ever. With everything we're seeing when it comes to online grooming and sextortion, it's pretty much nearly impossible to scroll through NJ.com and not see a story about online enticement or online grooming and sextortion, or individuals that have been exposed for possession or distribution or the production of child sexual abuse material, right? And all of the reports that we've gathered from, whether it's the cyber tip line from NECMEC, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, we know that child exploitation and online enticement is at an all-time high. It's one of the negative effects that have come out of the pandemic, and the negative effects of forcing so many of our kids to be online for an increased amount of time. And predators and traffickers knew and know that students are online, and they're using very insidious tactics and strategies to groom them, eventually leading to exploit them. And that's where we're really trying to not only encourage schools but all of society to become aware of this issue and ultimately prevent it.
Absolutely. And just to echo what you're sharing, and I've shared this before, on our show, but my background is in doing this work when I worked at the prosecutor's office, in sex crimes before, at a past life. The reality of it is, our predators are smart. Our predators are technologically savvy, and they have learned how to use technology to get to their end goal. So it is essential that we become as smart as they are, and how to thwart their efforts. And having a resource like this is so, so key in us not letting them reach their end goal, and in us moving folks closer to understanding the issue and getting us to prevention and identification, for situations that might already be in motion, but definitely to try to move us to an area of prevention. So, as I always say, this YWTV is not kind of your normal, like, Netflix, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. This is a show with some action items for you. I think they're very clear what they are for all of you here. If you are connected to a school district, you want to take the link that is here and send it to your administration and say, I'm interested in you reviewing this curriculum and integrating it into our district's work. I also would encourage you, if you are connected to an organization, that you share it and ask everyone in your organization to do the same. Again, this is really about word of mouth, which is why it was so important to me when the coalition finished this project, and I'm an active member of the coalition for many years myself. But it was so important for me to be able to bring this conversation to all of you, because it is essential that we're all part of pushing this out and pushing this forward. We really have the ability together. Sometimes people will say to me, I just want to do something. How can I help? Here it is, folks. Here is a way to help. And you may not even realize that you are, potentially helping someone in your family, someone that statistically, based on, what we know about this crime, that how close it is really hitting to home. And you have the potential to be part of the prevention effort for that by sharing this link out and engaging and encouraging your school district and anyone connected to a school district to do the same. So please do that. And I also encourage you to think about this conversation that you've listened to and to share it with someone else in your life. Take this link and share the conversation further with your friends, so that they can keep talking about it. If you're thinking to yourself, I don't have any kids in school, I'm out of that stage of my life, find someone in your life who does have kids in school and send it there. And even if, by the way, that you're out of that stage, you still can send it to your school district. That doesn't prevent that, for sure. So I know there's so much happening at the coalition, and this is obviously one of the many important and key projects that you all are working on. Anything else that we want to bring attention to? I know time goes quickly when we chat about these important issues. Anything else we want to bring some attention to before we leave each other today?
I know that we mentioned briefly before that there's a very important project coming to Bergen County.
Yes, there is. We're working on the SOAP event, which is, really to train volunteers to help us get out in the community, to bring awareness around human trafficking, to also help identify those that are being trafficked, and find folks and bring them out of harm's way and into safety. And there's that effort will be happening in mid-April. We'll be the YWCA of Northern New Jersey is co-hosting and supporting the opportunity for volunteers to get training and to get actively involved in a different way than just sharing an email with your school district. This is, boots on the ground, some training and getting out in the community to support. We will likely have a conversation like this right prior to it to bring some attention to it and get you all to sign up. But please stay close to our website, to our social media, to the coalition's website, the coalition's social media for that event, and honestly, so many others. I know that your gala's upcoming. You can donate to the coalition. I always say the YW, the coalition, there's so many important causes that you can volunteer, you can donate your time to. This is how we all survive. This is how we do this important work that impacts your life, whether it's directly or indirectly. And you really should consider making an investment in an organization like the coalition, for sure. stay connected to all that they're doing.
Thank you for sharing that. And if anyone's an educator that's watching that would like to get involved with our education committee, please reach out to us through our website. And we definitely welcome as many educators as possible to join in with this cause and to continue to promote our prevention efforts.
So you heard it, folks. You know what to do. So please get on it. Chop, chop. Lots to get out there. We have all the links here for you. You don't have to go far. So please stay connected. Also, for those of you that are going to stay connected to the YWTV later this week, we encourage you to join us at 7 p.m. on Thursday evening for our Share the Mic Now Power Chat series. We'll be talking with Lindsay Davis of ABC News and talking to her about her recent book and what it's like to be a woman commentator. It is Women's History Month. The theme for Women's History Month is about our storytellers, and Lindsay Davis is definitely one of our storytellers. So we're so grateful to have her come share her story and how she shares other stories through her platform at ABC News. And we also hope that any of you who can join us, our Women's Leadership Conference is March 29th at American Dream Mall, and we have an amazing group of panelists and our keynote speaker, Senator Ruiz, and just some dynamic women coming together to help inspire and empower all of you to engage your voices, whether it's for yourself or for others in your community. We look forward to hopefully having you there, and so much to do. Please connect to the Coalition's website. Please connect to the Coalition's social media. Please connect to ours. And, there's going to be something for you to do for sure. And Dr. Papa, thank you again for the time today. And we hope everyone stays well, and we'll see you again soon.
Bye. Thank you. Have a great afternoon.